So with the elliptical marquee tool, you can get a circle in case you press shift. Now in case I wanted to add another circle by pressing shift, the new shift does not constrain this to a perfect circle because I'm using the shift already to add to my selection. So in this case, here let's set the feathering back to 0. I would click here to be in add to selection mode. So I'm going to use the add to selection tool. So now you can add your selection without pressing shift. So the moment I press shift now, it will be to constrain this to a perfect circle. Alright, is this clear? So to add, I used the add to selection tool, and the shift, I used it now to constrain to perfect circles. Yeah, but since I used this, I'm already going to be adding. So the shift's job now would be to actually constrain to a perfect circle. And remember always to work on new layers. So that way, I can do whatever I want with this layer. Now here, on the first circle, since I had some feathering, I'm going overboard with my drawing. Let's grab a darker color. Right? So I'm going overboard because of the feathering. The other ones, I reduced the feather down to 0, and therefore I have no feathering. So this is another example where feathering can actually do something. It's very useful, but not all the time. So in case you don't need it, in case you need sharp edges, you remove the feathering. So Control D to remove the selection, and that's my layer. Now, another thing about selections which is extremely important. I might have mentioned it before, but now I'm really going to stress upon it. To select the contents of a layer. So here, I have layer 1, right? Let's call it circles. So you just double click on the name and you would rename the layer. Now, let's say that I want to have a different layer with the same thing inside. So I want to duplicate my layer. There are many ways. One way is to actually right click on the layer and choose duplicate layer. When you do this, you get a new layer. I'm going to call it circles blue, for example. So now I have the two layers exactly the same thing. I'm going to hide the first one, the circles. Let's call the first one circles red. Or red circles, it doesn't matter. So I'll hide the first layer. And now here, I want to change the colors to blue. How can I change the colors to blue? Yeah, if I choose fill, and I select a blue color, it will take me a long time to actually do this. And you see the feathering does not get affected because of the tolerance value. So this is not a good way actually. To change the colors to blue, the orange or the red to blue, what do? I go to Image, Adjustments, and Hue Saturation. This is a command that is used a lot in Photoshop. The shortcut is Control U. I told you about this before. So after a few times, I'm going to just press Control U. But now, Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. Now let's see what these do. If I change the hue, I will be changing the color. So here I'm changing all the colors of my image, of my layer, that is. Right? So in case I want a blue, there's blue. But I see that also the, if I uncheck preview, I had yellow here. The yellow also changed, which is something that I might want or that I might not want. So it depends on what I'm after. Let's say that I don't want to change the yellow. So here, whenever I'm changing to blue, the yellow is also changing. So this is not a good way of doing things. So I'm going to press cancel. What I need to do is select all the red colors and then change the hue of those red colors and not the yellow. Is this clear? So now we're going to use another way to select other than these tools. We're going to go to the proper layer, which is circles blue. Go to select, and this time choose color range. So I'm going to be selecting a range of colors. Click. Photoshop doesn't know what to select at the beginning, so I have to click somewhere on the color to select. So I click here. Right? So I clicked on the blue. You see that the yellow is not selected, it's black. So whatever is selected is actually white here. So it shows you what you're actually selecting. If you decrease the fuzziness to 0, it means that the feathered colors will not be selected. It will be a very sharp selection when the fuzziness is set to 0. If I increase my fuzziness, the blurred or the feathered colors will actually be selected. So I don't go all the way up, because if I go all the way up, also the white will be selected, because my range of selection now is a lot. So I don't go all the way to 200 in this case. I go like this, and now I see that the red color is actually selected, the yellow and the white are not selected. So here, if you look at this area, I have yellow and white. And if you look there, these are black, meaning that they are not selected. So this is a very efficient way to select colors that are difficult to select using other techniques, using the select and color range. So once I'm happy with this, I'll press OK, and you see that the red is selected now. Now even though here you see the edge, but there is actually feathering. So to test this, I go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and I change the hue, and only the red will be changed, right? And the yellow will stay intact. Here I didn't really catch, so I'm gonna cancel and Control D. I didn't really catch these colors properly. So let's catch them. Select color range, click on the red, but this time I click on plus and add this color here, you see, and play with the fuzziness. I might add also this one there. So you'll see that this area is actually expanding. So this is now selected. I'll press OK and Control U and change the hue, and you'll see that now also the feathered colors are changed to blue. But I left the yellow and the white, of course, intact. So Control D to remove my selection. So now I have the red one and the blue one, and I was able to change the colors even though I had feathering in my colors.